When you tried to hold a boundary with your avoidant partner, did they tell you that you were being controlling, that you were issuing ultimatums, that you were being demanding and needy? If so, the avoidant received your boundary as an attack. This is a person that is hardwired to avoid expressing emotions and to avoid conflict. So they're going to take any kind of healthy confrontation, such as boundary holding, as an attack. It triggers their core wound of shame, their core wound of defectiveness. You're holding a boundary, which is not an ultimatum. What it really is your limits of what you'll allow, what you won't allow, what works for you in the relationship, what doesn't, what your needs are. Essentially, what you require in order to feel safe in the relationship, emotionally, physically, and otherwise. But they're taking this as an attack. They're taking this as a personal attack that triggers their shame. The avoidant is a person that was on the receiving end of consistent childhood emotional neglect. And if you're dealing with a dismissive avoidant, this is a person that really was never able to express emotions as a child. They weren't able to assert their own feelings. It was shot down, it was dismissed. They weren't given that nurturing at all. So what happens is they personalize that neglect, growing up to feel like there must be something wrong with them, that they're defective, they're not lovable. It's a wound of shame. This is why they don't handle criticism well, and this is why they don't handle boundaries well. Because when you're saying, hey, this is what I need, these are my limits, these are my needs in the relationship, what they're hearing is, you're defective, you're defective, you're defective. It feels like an attack. They put their guard up and they immediately get quite defensive. Now, there are some dismissive avoidants that will receive your boundaries and work to make adjustments to show up for you, but many will not. They'll receive it as an attack and possibly even exit the relationship. But if they exit the relationship because you held a boundary, let them go. Because since your boundaries are your needs, your limits, what you want, don't want, your expectations, if they leave because you held a boundary, what they're really telling you is that they were never going to meet your needs, they were never going to show up for you, and they were never going to meet your expectations. And the relationship only worked for them as long as you didn't assert your needs, feelings, or limits. That's not a healthy relationship. Holding boundaries in a nice, kind, empathetic way is healthy confrontation. You're letting the other person know what your limits are, what your needs are. You're directly communicating about your feelings. That is important for a healthy relationship to be sustained, because when both partners express their limits and their needs, it helps the other person show up for you. It helps you show up for them when they assert theirs. But without boundaries, well, a lot of mistreatment can happen that can lead to resentment because there hasn't been any communication about it. There hasn't been any limits set. So boundaries are an essential part of a relationship. And if the avoidant receives them poorly, that's on them. That's their insecurities. It's not because you were wrong to have the boundary. And if they're trying to convince you that you were wrong to hold the boundary, they're actually gaslighting you to avoid accountability and avoid their inner wound of shame by trying to get you to doubt yourself, to doubt your limits, to doubt your boundaries, to doubt your feelings. Take a deep breath. You're allowed to have the boundaries that you have. You get to determine what boundaries works for you. They don't. But if they receive them poorly, that's not a surprise. But it's not because you were wrong to hold the boundary.